Oh, Hasanabi head in the news. His dad is in prison for January 6 crimes. He doesn't want Trump to pardon him. Oh my God. Repping the merch and everything. That's crazy. All right. Let's take a look.
If Trump pardons your dad, what's your biggest fear?
You know, just getting shot in the street. I don't know.
By your father?
By my father, by someone he knows. There's a bunch of people that I don't know, and I don't know their intent.
This is Jackson Reffitt.
Do you want me to take this end here, or how do we do this?
Yes, please.
He's moving out of his home here in Texas, he says, for his own safety.
Bought a gun because I got so paranoid, and moving out because I'm scared.
Do you know how to fire a gun?
Yeah, I've been shooting it.
Do you have it on you right now?
Yeah, I have to wear it around the house kind of often just to get used to how it feels.
Okay.
But I'm part of that,
Jackson's dad is Guy Reffitt, who is a member of the Texas 3%er militia.
And I just kept going, go forward! Go forward! I couldn't even see, bro.
He's serving a more than 7-year sentence for his role in the January 6th Capitol attack. Reffitt was convicted of 5 felonies, including carrying a firearm on Capitol grounds.
So you reported your dad to the FBI?
Yes.
That's what got him arrested, basically?
More or less, yeah.
Oh,
what
God.
effect has that had on your family?
I'm actually worried, man. I'm actually worried. I'm worried. This is truly terrifying. I'll be honest.
It's destroyed it.
Was there a moment where you thought, I know my dad's done all this stuff, but I don't want to report him?
Yeah. I still feel horrible, of course. Like, I can't get over it, but I don't regret it.
When was the last time you spoke to your dad?
5 months ago. It was the first time I talked to him. And it was just a crying fest for the first 10 minutes, and that was great. And then I brought up the fact that I'm worried about him getting out. And he was almost puzzled, you know, like he was confused as to why I thought that.
Are you overreacting?
No, I get death threats daily, hourly at this point.
Unbeknownst to us, it was our 18-year-old son who turned his dad in to the FBI.
Why?
Why did he do it? My son is a declared Democratic Socialist.
Jackson's...
They've abandoned this person. You know what I mean? They're just like, yeah, he's an enemy. He's an enemy of the state. He's an enemy of our beautiful president, Donald Trump. That is not good. That is definitely insane. Imagine having your parents put a crosshair on your back like that in a room full of people who are just out of their minds.
Mom, Nicole,
the party of family values, dude. Crazy.
Has become one of the most prominent people campaigning for the release of people serving time for January 6th.
We lift up each and every one of our J6ers, Father.
You've been coming here for hundreds of nights.
Almost 900.
Why?
You know, after I saw what happened to my husband, I could not sit on my hands at home anymore.
Christopher Alba.
No wonder he's moving. I mean, look at this. Imagine this being your mom. That's crazy. I mean, there are some chatters whose moms are like this, but even then, they're not like, I don't think they put a target on your back, right? This is brainworms, man. This is so, be nice, question mark. What are you talking about? Be nice. What are you talking about? If your mom, Chuck Dilly, sat in a room full of like 3%ers and Proud Boys at a gathering and went, Chuck Dilly is an enemy of our cause, our movement, declare you to be an enemy, I would protect you as well against your parents. I would still love her. Okay, well, I don't think that is reciprocated, it seems.
Nicole left Texas and moved to Washington, D.C., where she takes part in a nightly vigil held here outside the city's jail.
Marcus Malley.
Do you wish Guy didn't come here on January 6th?
No, I'm glad he stood up for something.
Every night, January 6 prisoners from around the country call into the vigil.
Continue holding the line, this thing's almost done.
Including Guy Reffitt, who recently called in to wish Nicole a happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Sorry I couldn't get you something better than 80 months, but you know, they're ass.
Are you confident that Trump will let your husband walk free?
I feel like Trump is a man of his word.
What's the next step for your family?
To continue to fight.
Together.
Nicole is sometimes joined in D.C. by her 2 daughters, Jackson's sisters, who've been caught in the middle of a divided family.
Is not shown on my father.
We have nothing against Jackson. Jackson's my brother. I love him. I love him no more than I love my father. I love my father. I love my family.
From the beginning, the girls and I have received hundreds.
I don't think she's happy that her son stood up for something. I think she's very upset that her son stood up for something. She's happy that the dad stood up for Donald Trump because I think she loves Donald Trump more than she he loves many things. But I mean, you can kind of tell when someone is bricked up here a little bit. If they're, I mean, at this point, like if you got like a little Jesus wagon thing going on with like a megaphone where you kind of carry that around everywhere, it's just like you need like a factory reset or something.
Hundreds of mailed death threats. I'm not talking about online things. I'm talking about rape to my daughters, death to my husband, death to me.
You don't think Jackson has to be afraid of his dad?
No.
Yeah.
I think that's been put on the record several times.
So why is Jackson still afraid?
I just think that it's the same thing where people think this red hat on my head is scary and dangerous. It's that same mentality. Jackson comes from a lot of love, and there's a lot of love left to be given. Justice for all.
I mean, I love my mom, of course. I love her.
Do you love your dad?
Of course I love my dad. I love my dad, but I can't feel safe around him. I hate having to put myself in this situation to feel some sort of comfort after the election and what's gonna happen when my dad gets pardoned, when all these hundreds of people get pardoned, and all these thousands of people get validated for their actions. And I'm one of those people that they call a traitor. And my dad once said traitors get shot. So that's been ringing in my head for years and years and years.
In a message from prison, Guy Reffitt said that Jackson has never had anything to worry about from me, and he will never have anything to worry about from me ever.
If your dad's watching this, what's your message?
I don't think, dude, I don't think you're, I mean, look, I can't know your personal experience, Chatter. I don't know if you're in here or not, but I don't think you have to worry about your dad. I think it's more so, other people that are in that community that you might have to worry about.
Message to him.
That I love him and that I hope he gets better. And I hope I get better too. I hope I grow out of this paranoia right now. And that I really thought what I did was right. I thought I did what I did to protect him and my family and the people around him and the people he could have hurt.
Let's talk about January 6th. I am interested in your kind of reflections on where we've come to. We've been playing images from that day in 2021 and talking about it through the morning. Obviously now Donald Trump's election set to be certified. He'll then.
I think that we are going to see more. We're going to see more militia mobilizations happening under the Trump administration, especially considering that a lot of the militia movements historically, whether it be the Klan, have always operated in this weird space where they both have members within the Klan that are prominent members within the legal structure, whether it be judges or cops. But I think now, especially under the first Trump administration, that grew a lot in size and prominence. And under the second Trump administration, you are going to see the lines, the supposed quote unquote distinction between our legal structure, our police force, our military, our National Guard, and these sorts of militia movements merge a little bit more. I think those lines there's never really been like a hard boundary between the two, especially historically. But I think that we're completely going to cast aside what remained of this aesthetic boundary between the Proud Boys and the 3%ers and these kinds of like white nationalist, far-right militias and Republican local officials all the way up to federal officials as well. This is perhaps the greatest example of what I'm talking about. ProPublica reported by Joshua Kaplan reported about a guy who went and intercepted the militia movement, John Williams. He went in and joined the ranks of the Oath Keepers. I found out something that we kind of knew already, which we had talked about before, especially with respect to the Proud Boys in Portland, for example, that these guys are directly in contact and sometimes directly working with members of law enforcement. Shocking.
You promised to pardon those who attacked the Capitol on January 6th. Are you still vowing to follow through with that promise?
We're looking at it right now, most likely, yeah. These people are living in hell.
Let me just...
And I think it's very unfair.
But
most likely, I'll do it very quickly. I'm going to be acting very quickly.
Within your first 100 days, first day?
First day. Everybody on that committee, for what they did,
yeah.
Honestly, they should go to jail. I think everybody, anybody that voted in favor.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
Not at all. I think that they'll have to look at that.
So what about this particular piece of it? If he moves,
he's like, American prisons are ruthless. They're brutal. We must release our political prisoners. Also, all of our political enemies must rot in prison. They must get locked up. We must throw them under the jail. We must do everything we can in our power to make sure they are punished and tortured under that very same structure that's currently torturing our beautiful, brave American patriots. Trump is an Angela Davis consumer, enjoyer, appreciator when it comes to hogs. He's a prison abolitionist for hogs only.
what does that mean for the country? And what is the political impact? Two different things, I would say.
Yeah, well, this is, Casey, this is where I don't think he'll be able to resist his impulse. He wants to punish his opponents and his enemies, including and especially people like Liz Cheney. And this is something
I will say, controversial of me, but I don't care if Liz Cheney goes to jail. I don't care. I think it's good. I think it's funny and good. I'm on board.
I was up here, one of those officers up there. I was armed with a rifle that day, so I didn't want to go down in the crowd and potentially have it used or taken. If these are the people that are going to be getting pardons, can you look at this and just say they deserve one? I don't see how.
But President-elect Donald Trump has indicated that he might do just that.
First day.
Yeah, I'm looking first day.
Issue these pardons.
These people have been there, how long is it, 3 or 4 years?
Okay.
Pardons are one of the president's greatest powers, but also biggest.
But dude, in what world does Liz Cheney go to jail and the federal government doesn't also send you to jail? Wait, what? First of all, I don't think Liz Cheney is going to jail. Okay, there's no serious like what is she going to jail for? They've not really mentioned what would be the reason for why she would be thrown in jail. I guess what the chatter is trying to say here, no. What the chatter is trying to say here is that, like, if someone is getting locked up, like Liz Cheney is getting locked up for no real discernible reason, then I am a larger enemy of the state than Liz Cheney in the eyes of the Republican Party. But I think that I have no motion in comparison to like these guys who are really tapped into mainstream media and DC circles. So for them, they do see Liz Cheney as a serious enemy or just a nuisance in general. Whereas I am a Twitch streamer and they don't really think about me at all. They don't know who I am, which is good. I want to keep it that way. Let's keep it that way.
I guess political liabilities.
And that's what they are, as hostages. They've been treated terribly.
He created expectations, created a movement of people, created a mob that acted, and then walked away. I hope he doesn't walk away from these promises.
Here's what Trump would have to do to carry out those promises and what it means for the people involved in the January 6th attack. Of the nearly 1,600 January 6th defendants, all have been charged with some form of trespassing or disorderly conduct, and more than a third have been charged with crimes involving assaulting, resisting, or obstructing law enforcement.
What we went through that day wasn't normal, and we shouldn't normalize it.
A spokeswoman for Trump's transition team said in a statement to the Wall Street Journal that Trump will pardon Americans who were denied due process and unfairly prosecuted by the weaponized Department of Justice.
I know the system. The system's a very corrupt system.
She also said in a separate statement that pardons will happen on
It's always funny when these guys will talk about how like the criminal justice system is evil and corrupt and totally messed up. And I agree, except they say it's only corrupt and messed up for like upper middle class white people, jet ski dealership owners who happen to be pro Donald Trump, who also did violate like a bunch of laws. It's only corrupt against them. The people that are the most protected under our institutions. It's hilarious. It's so messed up. They're coming after our big, beautiful auto dealership owners and their fail sons for the crime of being MAGA. If anyone's getting jailed for being an enemy of the state is Trump, even now they're trying to throw him under the jail. Who? What do you mean? They're dropping everything at this point. At most, he's gonna get a slap on the wrist for like mismanagement and you know, doing the hush money scheme where he lied to the New York authorities about where he was, where the money was actually going to, and that's it. The person that obviously actually spent time in prison for that was his lawyer, Michael Cohen. Everything in the system is designed in a way where, like, yeah, your soldiers will go to jail. You will never go to jail.
On a case-by-case basis, but didn't give any details on who might receive them or when. A number of people accused in the attack are already lobbying the president-elect for pardons. One is Joseph Biggs, a leader of the far-right group the Proud Boys, which played a central role in the Capitol riot. He can be seen at the Capitol in footage from that day.
Hey, we're on the concrete.
These guys are real freaks too. Like, it's crazy. Oh my God. Some of these guys are real freaks. Like, look, I don't know about every single person that participated in January 6th. Like, there's 1,000 of them. I'm sure some of them are low-level offenders, and they probably do have a capacity to reoffend, if we're being real. But like, some of these hogs are very bad. People that were really bad in their own local, in their own localities, notorious. Biggs is one of those guys, right? Long rap sheet in general, even if there isn't priors, but Biggs does have priors as well, if I'm not mistaken. But also, they are responsible for a lot of instability and a lot of violence and a lot of demonstrations. Nancy is doing well. We're so cooked, dude. The gerontocracy will save us. Save us, Nancy.
The east side of the Capitol front steps.
Biggs was found guilty of seditious conspiracy, along with several other charges. Court records state that he and other group members helped recruit and lead a crowd that breached the Capitol. Biggs is currently serving a 17-year sentence.
Look at that shirt. He says, register communists, not firearms. Being this angry at communists has to be a mental illness in America. You know what I mean? What valid communist movement even exists in the United States of America? You're angry at shadows, okay? Where are the communists? Where are they? In his mind, he thinks Nancy Pelosi is a communist, obviously. So it's like, ACP, come on, guys, be serious.
Dear Mr. President,
his lawyer, Norm Pattis, sent Trump a letter a week after the election.
you are now in a position to close a painful chapter in American history. On behalf of Joe Biggs,
this is the exact type of attorney that I would expect to take on a important political a case such as this one can only be taken on by a lawyer that looks exactly like this.
I am urging you to do so by granting Mr. Biggs' request for a complete pardon for his actions that day.
The idea behind a pardon is that the criminal justice system sometimes gets it wrong and can be quite harsh, and there needs to be a fail-safe mechanism to ensure injustices are addressed.
Kim Whaley is a law professor who wrote a book on the history of pardon power. She says the modern pardon process usually works like this.
There is, within the Department of Justice, an office of the pardon attorney. Someone who is seeking a pardon or commutation fills out.
Look, deterrence does have a capacity to work if it is done against people who previously thought that they were infallible and devoid of any sort of scrutiny from the legal structures. And January 6th deterrence from the federal law enforcement agencies absolutely worked. That is why it eviscerated the mass mobilization that you saw under the Trump administration. And it's not just deterrence from law enforcement. Deterrence from popular mobilization of anti-fascist movements also is significant and also works as well. The greatest example I can give you under the Trump administration was Unite the Right Rally 1 versus Unite the Right Rally 2. The first Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville ended up with the death of Heather Heyer. Famously, a neo-Nazi traveled all the way, I believe, from Ohio to Charlottesville and drove into a crowd of anti-fascist counter-protesters against these Nazis, and he went to prison. But the real reason as to why Charlottesville 2 was marginal, was tiny, was minuscule, was because of the dedicated efforts of people taking matters into their own hands in terms of unmasking Nazis, in terms of engaging in mass mobilization against the growing Nazi movement. So that actually is the real reason why Unite the Right Rally 2 got very few protesters to go out, like very few Nazis to go out and just be like, yeah, we're still Nazis, we're still here. Law enforcement deterrence in terms of like actual legal punishments that were dished out to people who previously thought that they would never ever withstand legal scrutiny, which is precisely the reason why during January 6th they were filming themselves, openly identifying themselves, saying their names. There was a famous case of the West Virginia state member of the state legislature from West Virginia, Derek Evans, openly on live stream saying, "Woo!
best friend. Derek Evans is in the Capitol.
Derek Evans is in the Capitol. I repeat, openly saying his name, referring to himself in the third person, on camera.
Trump! Trump! Woo!
These people then turned around and gave interviews. The reason why they did that without masking themselves, without protecting their identity, is because what they thought was just. They thought their cause was just, partially because they were, egged on by Donald Trump and many other prominent members of the Republican Party into engaging in this act. And also, they are not used to getting any sort of real consequences from law enforcement. They're not. They collaborate with law enforcement. So when the reality doesn't match their expectations, all of a sudden they have to start really reconsidering their choices when they go, I don't know if I want to join this kind of uprising again because I might go to jail. And a lot of these people have a lot to lose as well. These are HVAC business owners. These are people, these are real POCs or POPs, people of privilege, people of capital, POMs, people of means. So in that same vein, I think Donald Trump openly saying he's going to pardon these people and claiming that these people are actually heroes will have the exact opposite effect. It will galvanize people like this to mobilize again. It will embolden them. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
The form, it has a bunch of criteria that include acceptance of responsibility, for example.
While not all pardons that bypass the typical process are controversial, presidents from both sides of the aisle have issued controversial pardons this way, some that left a lasting mark on their presidencies.
When a president uses a pardon to explicitly benefit a political donor or friend, something that your average citizen wouldn't be considered for, that rubs people the wrong way.
Trump issued a number of pardons this way during his first term.
Did the pardon of Sheriff Joseph Arpaio go through the pardon attorney office?
I don't believe it did.
And President Joe Biden recently issued a broad pardon of his son Hunter for tax evasion and lying about drug use.
I think the fact that Biden has so aggressively used his pardon powers in the final months of his presidency clearly makes it easier for Trump.
I disagree. I think they're trying to tie this back to Biden, but I think Trump was going to do this whether or not Biden pardoned Hunter. This is not a defense of Joe Biden. Trump just does not care. And anyone that tries to make it seem like Trump cares about what the Democrats are doing is so silly. If anything, this is a great opportunity for him to say, oh, you guys are hypocritical for criticizing me for doing this. Sure, it's just giving him more ammunition, but he was going to do this regardless. He never cared and he never will care. He will use the Democratic Party's actions to message.
And it's unclear what kind of pushback Trump will receive within Washington.
I think members of Congress have a very different perspective on January 6th than Donald Trump because a lot of them were there. They remember what happened that day, and some of them are scarred by it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the Republicans that were very upset that they were fearful for their lives very quickly have turned around and decided, no, these are our guys. We like them, actually. Sorry, we were wrong. I mean, look at Josh Hawley. Josh Hawley's a great example. He was running around like a headless chicken on January 6th. Ask him what he thinks about the J6ers now.
It. And so I don't think that they're going to be cheering Donald Trump's pardons, but they
what the hell was this? What?
Hard by it. And so I don't think that they're
What is this? Did they have these like gas masks on because they were worried that they were going to do like a chemical attack or something? What? I don't remember seeing this photo at all. That's crazy. It was because tear gas was used in the rotunda.
They did cheering Donald Trump's pardons, but they also aren't in a position to fight it.
But those J6 warriors, they were warriors, but they were really more than anything else. They're victims of what happened.
The next chapter will be written when Donald Trump takes the oath of office again and decides which January 6th participants will benefit from the president's extraordinary power.
Whenever you pardon somebody who has been convicted of hurting law enforcement, whether it's the January 6th case or anything else, I think that is going to be politically more difficult to explain.
But getting back to it, like I said, I highly urge you guys to read the ProPublica article that we were talking about beforehand about the guy who just like randomly chose to infiltrate the 3%ers. I think that it is a thought-provoking piece that is alarming and perhaps shows what is yet to come, especially considering that these groups are getting emboldened by the Trump regime and will probably be more active in their participation as the disorganized brown shirts that will push for Trump's agenda. Trump's NSC advisor, there will be a cross-governmental effort to combat radicalization where U.S. government will look at mosques, individuals, universities, professors, you name it, that pose a threat to the U.S. and are radicalizing individuals to harm the U.S. Okay, when I hear stuff like this, I do worry that I might go to jail. Because they're not talking about white supremacist acts of terror. They're talking about anyone and everyone that is even remotely critical of Israel, for example. Anyone and everyone that goes, hey, hold on now, what is this argument? Like, we should be hunting down Muslims? I feel like that's a bridge too far. Nope.